Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Vagabond Arashikage channel. I am KH, and today we're gonna talk about turtles. Yeah, cowabunga dudes. Very nice. Alright, now if you guys have been watching videos here on the channel, you already know that I'm a huge Turtles fan. And for quite some time now, we've done a lot of videos on The Last Ronin. The Last Ronin is kind of in the wind at the moment as well, with all the talk about a movie and about a video game. So yeah, The Last Ronin is kind of a Dark Knight Returns kind of story where it's set in the future and things have gone really bad. If you haven't read The Last Ronin, you should go check that out before coming back and watching this video, because today we're going to talk about this comic book right here. This is The Last Ronin. Sorry, confusing title here. The Last Ronin Lost Years. I keep getting that wrong. The Last Ronin Lost Years is put in the Last Ronin universe, and it's kind of a prequel to The Last Ronin, covering all the stuff The Last Ronin was up to from the point where things went really bad and all the way to the future where we start off in this comic book. But it's also part sequel. We are introduced to some new characters and a new team of turtles, and that part of the story is set after The Last Ronin, so it's part prequel, part sequel. I'm gonna try to keep this short, and what I want to focus on today is whether this is something you need to check out. Is it relevant if you're a fan of The Last Ronin? Is it good, or if it's just like unnecessary add-on or like a cash grab? Yeah, so that's what I want to talk about. And therefore, I think if you haven't read this, you should really go check out The Last Ronin first. Now, before we continue, let's just go through the usual stuff. So this is The Last Ronin Lost Years. And this is a comic book by IDW. And the writers, Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz. Now here we also have Peter Laird credited. He's not mentioned here. And for the rest here, they have like split it into who's been doing what for what chapters. And that's kind of cool. So we have like the flashbacks to the past, and there we have S.L. Gallant on pencils and Maria Keane on inks. And then we have Now, pencils and inks by Ben Bishop. And we also had Ben Bishop on this one here. Then there is Splinter's Journal, pencils and inks by Kevin Eastman. And colorist Lou Antonio Delgado, and lettering by Sean Lee. And I believe this comic book came out in 2023. Now, as I said, I want to talk about whether you should check this one out or not. I'm going to do my best to keep this spoiler-free. I'm not going to go heavy into the story. I might come back and do like a full spoiler video on this later. I'm not going to go very into spoilers. I'll try not to reveal the Last Ronin's identity either, but by now if you're familiar with The Last Ronin, you already know. Anyway, okay, let's start. Where do we start? Okay, I can just start off by saying that when I bought this comic book, when I first saw it, I was like, do I need to read more? Do I really need to learn more about like what happened in the past? Because I felt The Last Ronin comic book was more or less a very good, complete story. But then when I started reading this, it struck me that we don't actually get a lot of character development in the original story. We get some flashbacks and stuff, but we don't really know a lot about what happened with The Last Ronin, except for some tiny chapters here and there. But there were a lot of holes to that story, and once I started reading this, I was like, wow, this is really good. So I'll say that. I really enjoyed the flashback stuff following the journey of The Last Ronin, and it's a cool story. It's something that starts as one of those typical, the hero must go and develop and hone his skills and train, but then it also turns into its own thing, its own story, like a side quest, but an interesting side quest, and we get to meet a lot of different cool characters. Among them, this really cool Chinese martial arts guy who trains the Last Ronin, and he's called Master Yip from the Hamato clan. A Chinese man speaking Japanese. Yeah, we're all thinking Ip Man. So that was really cool, and there are other cool characters we meet along the way, and it was really well done. I have nothing to say on that except for maybe tiny nitpicking stuff, but there's one main villain that The Last Ronin is trying to hunt down, and I wish we had gotten more, learned more about him, because he's just this mystery character that we hear about, and once we get to meet him, it's like, oh, could have had more build up, could have been that part. I was like, okay, I don't really know anything about this villain. Anyway, so that was that. Now the sequel stuff. Yeah, that's a bit different, because the Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is a very well established franchise. Everyone knows who they are, like Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello. And then to try to push a new team of new heroes, that's not an easy task. My problem with the sequel stuff was that you're getting introduced to new characters, new names, and new personalities, and every time I was thinking like, okay, now I remember this is that turtle and that's one's name. Then we jumped back into the stuff from the past. I sometimes have problems with stories that focus a lot on flashbacks and time jumps for this exact reason, because as you're kind of getting focused and getting into what's going on, suddenly we jump elsewhere and we're reading about something else. That can take you kind of out of the story. And it did for me the first time I was reading it. I've read this comic book twice. The problem for me was that, like, I had no problem I didn't struggle following the stuff going on with The Last Ronin, because we're already familiar with The Last Ronin. We got introduced to all of that in the original comic book. But then trying to learn about these new turtles was a bit more difficult, and I would have personally preferred splitting this comic book into two, like separating all the past flashback Last Ronin stuff as its own thing, and the future TMNT team as its own thing. I would have enjoyed the story about the future stuff better. But then again, I can understand why they didn't do that, and why you have all of it in the same comic book. So from a marketing point of view, the Turtles being such a well-established franchise, and you're trying to promote a new team of Turtles, your sales will be higher if you put it into something that people already want to read and something that people are interested in. So putting the new team into The Last Ronin, Lost Years, and kind of intertwining it with the chapters that are about The Last Ronin, it's a smart way to go, because everyone who's really there for the story of The Last Ronin will also be exposed and will have to read about the new team that is kind of shoehorned in there. So I get it. Now, with all that being said, is the new team and the new characters, are they bad? Are they good? Did I care? Well, personally, for me, the Turtles will always be Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello. But at the same time, the Last Ronin setting and everything being kind of its own universe, its own thing, I was intrigued, and I will continue to read the stuff that will be coming out about the new Turtles. I've already gotten myself a copy of this one. So this is the way they're going forward with the new team, The Last Ronin 2. And I can't say that it was bad. It is different. And it's also, the most interesting part was following Casey Marie Jones and April and how they kind of try to train these new Turtles, and they're not even sure whether they should train them. Like, is it necessary to turn them into ninjas? But then again, there's a lot of crime going on in the city, and there's this power vacuum after what happened here, and it is interesting. So whether that is interesting for you, I think, is dependent on, same as I said, like if you're very, very connected to the old characters or not, whether you're open for reading a new story about some new Turtles team. Yeah. All right. So that is that. It's a prequel, sequel comic book set in the Last Ronin universe. And, well, is it worth reading? I will say yes. I was positively surprised reading this. I was surprised how much I really enjoyed also. I didn't know that I really wanted to know more about the Last Ronin's journey. And that was really cool. And the new stuff, it's okay. So if you like The Last Ronin and you want more Last Ronin stuff, then it's a no-brainer. Definitely go buy this comic book right now. And if you're a weirdo just wanting to learn about a new team of Turtles, what the hell? Read The Last Ronin and then read this. Okay, I think that covers it for today. The Last Year's Last Ronin, give it a go, check it out. And yeah, shaka kapow, dudes. Thanks for dropping by. And I plan to do more Last Ronin stuff. I have some cool new action figures I want to show you guys. So hopefully soon. I've been really busy, so I haven't had a lot of time, but I hope to come back to do more action figure unboxing videos as well. Take care, guys, and thanks for stopping by. See you in the next video.